Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Saturday. In this video, we are looking at the NBA slate. For tonight, we have 7 games starting at 7 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get into it. As always, shout out to the sponsor, Prize Picks, and use my code PROCESS for deposit match up to $100. Check out the Twitter for updates at the DFS process, and you can check out the website if you want to join as well. Link is in the description. Go ahead and get into the slate. We have a lot of Q tags, as you can tell, but some of them are probable tags, and we've got a whole bunch of people that are out once again today, so go ahead and get into it, starting off with the point guard picks. Most expensive guy is Kyrie Irving. He's $10,900. Going up against Miami, it's a difficult matchup for these Brooklyn Nets, but they continue to put up a lot of points. Kyrie's been awesome. He's putting up big games, even with Durant there playing massive minutes, 44 last game against the Grizzlies. So Nash is still running Irving and Durant out there, as the Brooklyn Nets are still fighting for that play-in situation right now. So they're going to get it, but it's still trying to move up in the standings a bit. Darius Garland is 10-2. He's going up against Chicago. He's been really consistent for the most part this year since they've been dealing with so many injuries. Basically, since Rubio's been out, he's been just super consistent with the assist. You can kind of count on him to get you a double-double most nights, gets you a couple rebounds, and just takes a lot of shots. So the price tag is expensive. It's one of the few times he's been over 10K this year, but he definitely has been proving that he's worth that big of a price tag. You can go down to SGA at 10K if he's in. He looks pretty good. We've got a whole bunch of people out here. Van Fleet is 87. His price tag has come up a little bit. He's not a bad play, but I like some other options here. Going further down in the 6K range, you have Davion Mitchell right at 6K. You have Kevin Porter Jr. for tournaments at 62, but I like Davion Mitchell without Fox, without Sabonis. They'll probably not play for the rest of the season, and they'll just let these young guys and some of the guys that they acquired get some of the run here to close out the year, see what kind of they can build on heading into next year. But Mitchell has really proven when he's given opportunities, he's going to be productive most times than not. Gets you assist, has a high usage rate when he's out there, and he's just playing massive minutes, 35 overtime game, 38. So lots of minutes for Davion Mitchell, and it's a good matchup against Orlando. They play no defense, really. 5K range, you have Jalen Green coming off a good game last night. He looks okay. If there's no SGA, you can look to Trey Mann. Other options would be 51 for Tyus Jones. I continue to look to Jones' way without Ja Morant. Another game where he lost a lot of minutes due to a blowout against the Pacers, a team they've been blowing out so many teams even without Ja Morant. They're just such a deep team. Only took 5 shots, made 4 of them, got you 5 assists, a couple rebounds. That's what he's going to do. He's going to, hopefully this one is going to be closer, which it should be with Giannis back. Well, Giannis should be back, I expect him. Yeah, we know Chris Middleton is back. Only guy that's not there is Drew Holiday, who's out. But if they get Giannis back, it's going to be a competitive game. It's only I think the Grizzlies are 2-point favorites, so it's a very low spread. Other options you can look to are Morris, Chris Dunn at 46 if he does play on a back-to-back, which he probably should. And then $3,000 flat, you have George Hill, who is not a fun play ever, but he should be starting at point guard in place of Drew Holiday. He can get you 6x or more, so he's another value that you can look to. Over at shooting guard, we have Kyrie at 10-9, still very expensive price tag. He's been great, but matchup isn't the best against Miami. Might go down to Chris Middleton, although his price tag isn't super cheap at 87, but should get more ball handling responsibilities without Drew Holiday. You have Desmond Bain, who continues to put up big games without Ja Morant there. Just very good shooter. He's been on a hot streak as of late. 6 3-pointers, 5 3-pointers. Put up 48 fantasy points in just 24 minutes against a very fast Pacers team. And this time he's going up against the Bucks, who give up a ton of 3-pointers as usual. Go ahead and put in Dylan Brooks. He's only $5,800. He's a guy that plays big minutes in a close game. He was out the most recent game against the Pacers for just rest issues, just because for injury maintenance. But he's back. Should be looking at heavy minutes in a close game, like 34, which we finally saw in a competitive game against Brooklyn. Loves to shoot, and he can contribute with some defensive stats and some rebounds. So unlike Desmond Bain, whose price tag has come way up, we're still getting a nice discount on Dylan Brooks. Over at small forward, expecting Giannis to play, I'm going to go ahead and put him in. I like him more than Durant today, given the matchup, and I like him more than any of these other guys in the 8K range. I think you can make a case for Jimmy Butler. But give me Giannis at 11.8, sub 12K. Got a couple of days off recently, so he should be fresh and good to go. Going up against this Memphis team that it's not going to be a walk in the park without Ja Morant, because they're like 12-2 or 12-3 without Ja Morant this year, something ridiculous. Put up 68 fantasy points against them earlier. It's just a good matchup, and he fouled out in that game as well in just 31 minutes. So love Giannis today. He's my favorite superstar. You also have Jokic on the slate, but he's going up against the Thunder, which could get out of hand depending on if SGA plays or not. Over at power forward, value-wise or mid-range-wise, you can look to Jimmy Butler if he's in at 84. You can go to Mobley. A couple of down games for him recently, but still been very productive starting at center in place of Jared Allen. Value-wise, you can maybe look to like Harrison Barnes at 6,000, but I like a couple of other Kings in front of Barnes. We might get Michael Porter. I don't know if at least he's not out. I don't know if he'll probably play yet, but they might want to get him a look or two before the regular season ends. If he's going to be ready for the playoffs, might as well get his legs under him before the playoffs start. So I would expect him to play maybe at the back end of some of these regular season games. Connaughton, 45, is going to get some minutes today some more minutes without Jrue Holiday. And then you can look to maybe Taylor, depending on the news out of Indiana, as an okay value option. And then you also have Patrick Williams here at 33. He's very defensive oriented, not great for fantasy, but still cheap enough to maybe take a shot on a smaller slate size. Go ahead and skip that position. Moving on to center, you have Jokic. Looks like a great pay up if you wanted to double stack the studs. But you do have one value pick that is going to be kind of hard not to pass up on, and that's Damian Jones at 44, starting at center. Places a bonus. He got up to 30 minutes. We know that Rashawn Holmes dealing with some issues outside of basketball, so he's not playing for the rest of the year, and they don't have Sabonis, so not too many other centers, and they don't seem to like Alex Len at all. Let's see I don't even know if he's been getting any run, and barely got some run last game, which was 18 minutes. He wasn't playing previously, so still expect Damian Jones to get the lion's share if they decide to split the 48 minutes at center between Jones and Len. Could be looking at like a 30-18 split like we saw last game. And then the last piece, go ahead and put in here is, I guess like I mentioned, George Hill just has a value at $3,000 if he's starting. He's not a fun player to roster for fantasy purposes, but really cheap at $3,000. Can't get any cheaper than that. So that's about it for the DraftKings side. Let's talk about FanDuel. All right, over on FanDuel point guard picks, we have Kyrie, most expensive guy, at 10.6. You can go down to SGA if he's in. Like him against the Nuggets, even though it's not the easiest match going into Denver, but SGA has proven time and time again that he's a great fantasy producer, especially with them just not having the full team. Garland is cheaper on FanDuel at 94, looks better. I don't mind getting to Van Fleet at 78. And then we have same type of value that we mentioned on DraftKings with Davion Mitchell. You have a good price tag on Cole Anthony. Put in Davion Mitchell. Then you have 57 for Kevin Porter. And then the other guy is definitely Tyus Jones at 53. That's another good value. And then you can also look down to Chris Dunn or go all the way down to George Hill, who, see if he's min price again. He's 37, $200 more. Over at shooting guard, once again, don't mind getting to SGA or Garland as your pay-ups here. You have Butler at only $8,000 as a good price tag. Going into the 6K range. Dylan Brooks, like him on both sides. 61 is very cheap compared to the price tags on some of these other Grizzlies. But we've seen Jaren Jackson get a big price jump, except, not on FanDuel, but on DraftKings. And we've seen Bain, his price tag kind of come up. Going with Barton also makes some sense at only 48. You can play him at two spots. Super affordable. At small forward, I like Giannis at 11.4 as a pay-up. You can play him at power forward as well, but small forward, it's basically him, Jimmy Butler as my two guys, considering also Desmond Bain at 78. Dylan Brooks, depending on if you're not going to play him at shooting guard. And then OG is back at 56. He looks good just because second game back, so we probably see Nick Nurse play him like 35 minutes today after he got his feet wet in the first game with like 26 or 27 minutes. And then it's Will Barton at 48. And LeVert is super cheap, but his minutes is not going up, even though they said that they're going to increase his minutes. Something to consider. And that is basically it. You have Justin Holiday at the bottom end. Power forward, mid-range, looking at Mobley at 75. But Jaren Jackson at 65 looks really good compared to like Baisley and Eubanks and Watford and Boucher. You're getting Jackson, who's always risky for fouls, but if he's not in foul trouble, he's going to play 30 plus minutes in a close game. And against Milwaukee, maybe he can hit some threes, get you some blocks. Should be a very close game. So if he's not in foul trouble, expect him to get the minutes. And then we're looking at 5,000 for Aaron Gordon as a value pick. And then at center, you have Jokic at 11.6. He looks the best. That's a pay-up option. You can also go with Vooch and Mobley. Assuming that DeRozan is back for the Bulls, kind of like Mobley more than Vooch. Maybe you can get to Wendell Carter if he plays today. And that's kind of it. Damian Jones, a little bit tougher to get to on FanDuel based on the price tag. So I'd rather get to Mobley for 2K more. And that's about it for the video. Thank you for watching. Best of luck tonight, and I will see you all next time.